Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my top 20 best video games of 2012, and this is of course part 2, where I'm going to count down number 10 to number 1. Now, if you haven't checked out my number 20 to number 11, those are important. Those are great games too. Definitely go check those out, but this is of course 10 to 1. So, without further ado, I like to say that a lot because it makes me sound intelligent. Let's get into the top 10 with number 10. The Darkness 2, which is a game that many people skipped over early in the year, and that's kind of sad because this was a great first-person shooter with a lot of different things going on in it. And when I mean different, I mean it's not just a first-person shooter. You have the ability of the Darkness, where you can go around and actually pick up enemies and like slice them open and cut them up in brutal ways. And if you cut them up in a different way, you can actually get bonuses like new ammo and new shielding and better protection against enemy fire. And it's actually a entertaining game all the way through, even though the campaign itself is short. And the story here is phenomenal in my opinion. I really like the story because you really care for the main character, Jackie Estacado. And I'm not going to spoil what happened in the first game, but something really bad happened in his life, and he has to deal with it in this game. And of course he has to deal with the new enemy here that wants the darkness, the supernatural ability from the first game, and he has to deal with that. And the gameplay here is fantastic. The story is phenomenal all the way through. The multiplayer mode here is actually a lot of fun, even if you play it by yourself. I highly recommend Darkness 2, especially since you can get it very cheap nowadays. Definitely go try out Darkness 2. It's my number 10. Sleeping Dogs is my number 9, and some people may consider this the sleeper hit of the year, which that's funny because it's called Sleeping Dogs and it's the sleeper hit. That's hilarious. But this is actually a great free roaming game in the vein of something right like Grand Theft Auto. But the thing is that it takes stuff like from Grand Theft Auto, like the cover system and the shooting and the driving, all that, and it takes all that stuff and it makes it its own because it puts it in, of course, China, and you have Kung Fu. Your main character knows Kung Fu. He can whip people's asses. The main gameplay feature here is the melee. You do have shooting and driving and all that, but the main gameplay here is fighting, and it is great. It feels like a Batman Arkham Asylum. Maybe not as good, but still very, very fleshed out and very fun. The story itself is great as well. You really like the main character Wei Shen and all the side characters that the game provides you. There's plenty of stuff to do in the environments. The graphics are great. This is just a great game that adds a lot of different type of gameplay mechanics into one, and I really enjoyed it. Sleeping Dogs is definitely worth your time, and it's my number 9. Dust, an Elysian Tale, which is probably the best summer of arcade game to come out since Limbo, I would say, because this is a phenomenal platformer action hack and slash game with a beautiful art style, fantastically drawn characters, and a story that's actually very entertaining and kind of emotional in parts. And this game's $15 and it's actually about 10 hours long. It's actually a good length game, unlike something like Mark of the Ninja, which took me about 5 hours. This game took me about 10, and it was a very enjoyable experience all the way through. The hack and slash gameplay is a lot of fun. It reminds me of something like Devil May Cry if it was a 2D platformer. Again, the art style is just breathtaking in this game. It really is phenomenal, and it was so close to winning my best graphics of the year, but Halo 4 had to take that. But this game is definitely something you should play. It is only $15 on the Xbox Live Arcade, and it's probably one of the best arcade games I've played in the last few years. Definitely go check it out. Dust, an Elysian Tale. Borderlands 2 is my number 7, and Borderlands 1 was one of my favorite games of 2009, and I absolutely adored that game. It was so much fun. When I first heard of it, all those different guns, it was a shooter and a dungeon crawler RPG. I was sold, and that game was great, and this game only just makes it better. The story is so much better. You actually give a damn about the characters. It's way funnier than the first game, I think. It has more open space for you to travel around, but don't get me wrong, Borderlands 1 had plenty of environments, but this one has more, and I found it to be a little bit more entertaining to travel around in it. There's more side quests, there's more loot to get. I just think this is a great game. Borderlands 2, especially if you're playing with your friends, you're going to have a fun time. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry. I don't know why you're going to cry. Maybe if you like stub your toe on the desk because you got killed and you're angry. I don't know. But this game is a lot of fun. Definitely go play it. Borderlands 2, great game, and it's my number 7. Dishonored is my number 6, and kind of like Hitman Absolution, this game is a stealth game. This one's actually first-person stealth game, and you can go around and pick many different ways to go and kill your target or side targets, and this game just made you feel so badass. It made you feel like a ninja. You can go and like teleport to big high like places and just like look over the people you want to kill and figure out different ways to do it stealthy wise, or just go down there and murder everybody, stop time, blow people out of windows and stuff. It is an extremely entertaining time, and I found myself to be just enthralled in the experience. I know some people beat this game in like 5 hours. It almost took me 20 hours to beat this game, because I would stop and like, oh, I don't want to do that, replay the mission, I don't want to do that, replay, or oh, I'm going to take my time here and stuff. I just found different ways to go through the environment and found myself to have a blast with this game. Dishonored is one of my favorite games of this year, and it's my number 6. Definitely go and try it out. You better. And with that being said, now we're into the top 5 games of 2012, and this time we're going to do a classic countdown. So let's get to it with my number 5 game of the year. Mass Effect 3 is my number 5, and yes, I do know that Mass Effect 2 had more exploration, and Mass Effect 1 definitely had more, and I know the ending sucked in Mass Effect 3, but you know what? Mass Effect 3 just ended the trilogy on a perfect note, even though the ending sucked. I found everything else to be perfect, though. All the different things you're doing, the way you build up your army, the way you talk to your teammates and meet up with some of the older ones, I found that just to be perfect. The gameplay here is the best it's ever been for Mass Effect. It's actually extremely fun just to go around with your biotic powers and smack around some enemies, especially if you're playing on easy like I did. I just ran in and just whooped ass like whoop whoop whoop, I'm Batman, yeah. So the story was completely captivating all the way through, and the multiplayer was a huge surprise because it was actually very well done and a lot of fun and kind of addicting. I really enjoyed the multiplayer, and I played with friends for hours and hours at times, and I just love Mass Effect 3. I highly recommend you play it, even if you're like, oh, I don't want to play Mass Effect as a trilogy, screw that, I don't want to play it. Play it now. Do it. Play it now. Mass Effect 3 is my number 5. Far Cry 3 is my number 4, and it's kind of a sad case for this game because it is a phenomenal, truly phenomenal first-person shooter slash stealth game, and not many people played it because it came out so late. And this truly is an amazing game that everybody should play because it's a huge open island that has so much stuff to explore. The story here is great. You really like all the characters, especially the main villain Voss in this game, who is truly one of the best villains out there. The shooting elements is really good. The stealth elements are even better, just going around stealthing it up and killing people, unleashing animals to kill other enemies so you can take over bases. It truly is just a fun game, and hell, you even got more stuff. You got the co-op campaign, which is a lot of fun. You got the multiplayer, which is pretty fun too. You got the map editor, and you got the 20-hour single player. This is a jam-packed game, so much content, and I highly recommend playing it because it is truly one of the best games of 2012. Far Cry 3 is my number 4. Halo 4 is my number 3. Halo 4 just did something that not many games can do, and that is make me feel emotion at the end, because I've been with these characters since I was a kid. Since I was like 12, I've been playing Halo, and I'm 22 now, so that's 10 years I've been playing Halo, and this game has just, it made me feel something at the end. I don't want to spoil it, but it did make me feel something, and I truly love the single player. All the different enemies, all the different guns that you get in the multiplayer or the single player, or even the Spartan Ops mode. I feel that this game is the best Halo game out there, and it's always like this. It's always like the next Halo game is going to be the best. It's going to be better than the previous one, but this one is truly the better one because I find the story here to be very well done all the way through. I really enjoyed the single player. I love the multiplayer. It's bar none, definitely bar none out there. It's the best multiplayer I've ever played in a game, and I love Halo as a series, and I cannot wait to see what 343 Industries is going to do in the future with Halo. Hopefully Halo 5 will be just as good as Halo 4 because I loved Halo 4 so much. I really did. Halo 4 is a phenomenal game. But now we get into the top 2 games of 2012. 2012 was such an amazing year for video games, and it was so hard for me to make a top 20 list without leaving out some games that I truly did enjoy. And it was very hard for me to make a top 20, let alone a top 10. So my top 2 favorite video games, kind of like Halo 4, made me feel something. Like I said when I was talking about Halo 4, there's not many games that make me feel something at the end. These two did, though. These two definitely did. And these two games are Telltale's The Walking Dead, the video game series, and Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward on the PlayStation Vita. These two games really set the bar for stories in 2012 and in general for video games, because Zero Escape had a very twisty type sci-fi-ish plot with some time travel. Again, I don't really want to spoil it like I said in my review and whenever I talked about this game in other videos, but I don't want to spoil it because I want people to go and play this game. And of course, this is a sequel to a game, so play the first one called 999, 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. And of course, The Walking Dead, maybe not the best in story, sure, story itself, but the characters were some of the most fleshed out characters I've ever seen in video games, and some of the best kid characters out there. I mean, sure, Duck was annoying, let's be honest, but Clementine was such an adorable character and such a well-made, well-written character. I just loved Clementine and all the other characters, really. Even when others screwed up, you felt bad for them later on in the game, and it truly was an amazing game, story and character-wise. And of course, Zero Escape had great characters too, but the story there was just so well done. So which one was the actual better game? Well, Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward was a puzzle game. It was strictly a puzzle game. You had to go into a room, you had to figure out different ways to get out of the room, and it had some of the best puzzles, some of the most inventive puzzles out there. And it was very, very hard to get through some of these puzzles, definitely. It got frustrating, but when you finally figure it out, it really is rewarding. Now, the rest of it is a lot of dialogue and reading and stuff, but that really is rewarding in the game because the story is such a fantastic story. It truly is, and the voice acting is great. The graphics are definitely good for a portable. I loved Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. And The Walking Dead, of course, is very adventure type game. You have to go and get this and get that and progress the story, but again, the characters are so well done and there's so many shocking elements to the story that you want to see what will happen next, and sometimes you don't want to see what will happen next because it's so shocking what will happen. It really is a game that plays on the emotions throughout pretty much every episode. It is an amazing game all the way through, and Telltale has made something truly special with The Walking Dead, the game. But with that being said, which one is my favorite video game of 2012? Well, without further ado, which I love to say, my favorite video game of 2012 is, drumroll, The Walking Dead, the video game. And this was a series that I just couldn't wait until the next episode. Every time an episode ended and I had to wait like a month or even 2 months, I just was pissed because I was like, oh my god, I have to wait. I don't want to wait. I just want to play it now. And I never had that in a game before. Like sometimes if I love a game and I can play the next level whenever I want, sometimes I even wait just to play the next level. But this game, I just couldn't wait to get to the next chapter because I wanted to see what would happen. And I absolutely loved this series to death completely. Don't get me wrong, Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward is a fantastic game. Everybody should play it. It's my number 2 for best games of 2012. But Walking Dead, the video game, just like the Video Game Awards, the Spike Video Games Awards said, this game is the best game of 2012. And that's it. There you go. There's my top 20 favorite video games of 2012. My number 1 being The Walking Dead, the video game. Now, let's be honest. Was that a big surprise? Probably not. But you know what? I bet not many people put Zero Escape in their list. So suck it. Suck it. So there you go. There was my top 20 best video games of 2012. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what your favorite video games of 2012 were in the comments below. Thank you. And of course, goodbye.